Okay. Apparently there was just a break. This is not the beginning of this, like halfway through, but I'm just catching up. So let's see what is going on.
Alright, thank you. You may continue.
Yesterday in Mr. Waters' closing argument, he said that the evidence established that Paul and Maggie were murdered with family guns. And that perhaps is his view of the evidence, but that's not a fact. In fact, the state's ballistic expert testified that the 12-gauge shot shells that you found in the feed room were fired by the same shotgun. That the shot shells, the things that rolled under the door, were fired by the same gun. That's all he testified to as the shotgun. Now they have put a lot of guns in evidence here that have nothing to do with the crime. So we don't know what shotgun was used. It could have been a shotgun bought at Walmart that afternoon. It could have been a 20-year-old shotgun. But all the evidence, ballistic evidence, is shot shells were fired by the same gun. And that's, I don't know that you really need an expert for that, but that's what the testimony was on the shotgun. With regard to the 300 blackout, you'll recall that this guy Paul Greer testified that the cartridges found at the crime scene, Maggie was shot with the 300 blackout. That the tool marks, called tool marks, that the extractor and ejector marks from the cartridges found at the crime scene matched extractor and ejector tool marks on some cartridges found at the house and some found at the shooting range. And what he didn't say was that where
Both will kill you.
pin breaches that cartridge, which is one of the most reliable indications, it did not match. No match. And he also did not compare projectiles. There wasn't a projectile found. When I say projectile, that's the bullet. That's the bullet thing. It goes and went into Maggie's body and broke up. But one went into the dog house and was found in the dog bed. So they have that. And what they did not do is take that projectile and dig projectiles out of the berm where the shooting range was and compare it to see if they match. And that's the most reliable way to do it. Now, in David Owen's notes, he said that the ballistic expert can't be 100% sure until you have the gun. And you heard my cross-examination of Agent Greer, and this tool mark ballistic examination is somewhat soft science, come under criticism. It's what they rely upon. Not every investigative lab relies upon it. That's what they did here. But it's not gospel. It's not gospel. Another thing about the 300 blackout, he in his closing, Mr. Waters repeatedly said that Alec bought it, and I assume we're talking about the replacement. I don't know.
There's lots of details. Lots of details in this case.
Maggie bought it. He kept saying it's the defendants. It's not the defendants. The replacement 300 blackout, which frankly no one had seen Paul with it in quite some time, except Will Loving on one occasion, and sometime in March. It was Paul's gun. It wasn't Alec's gun. Paul's gun. At one point in time during his closing argument yesterday, Mr. Waters reenacted a shooting scenario, if you'll recall. And I'll do my best, but he stands up here and he says that Alec shoots Paul in the chest one time. And 999,999 times out of a million, that person is dead. He is so smart and so diabolical that he's going to stage it so it look like two shooters. So he's got a 300 blackout here, a shotgun that he just took his son out, but his son was 1 in a million, he says. 1 in a million. Comes this way, so Alec has to put the 300 blackout back down, pick up the shotgun, and shoot Paul. Where in the world does that scenario reside other than in Mr. Waters' mind? It doesn't. It doesn't.
Good treason.
There's no evidence to support anything like that. None. None. And the fact that he has to go to such gymnastics to come up with the Alex staging a two-shooter theory, I ought to tell you, there's 2 shooters out there. I ought to tell you, someone to do that. Another curious point in Mr. Waters' closing argument yesterday involves Paul's intuitive talents. You will recall that Alex informed agents that Paul was an intuitive little dude. Referred to him as a detective. That Miriam Proctor, Maggie's sister, said that Maggie referred to Paul as his little detective, her little detective. And particularly when it came to trying to root out whether Alex was still doing drugs. And then he just sort of left it there. Sort of left it there for you to then take it and run with it as if, oh, Paul must have found Alec using drugs. There must have been a confrontation down there at the kennel, and that must have been what happened. Now he didn't go that far in his argument, but he laid it out there for you to run with. But that was clearly the implication. And I want to tell you first, there are no facts to support that. None whatsoever. Let me add another scenario that's equally as plausible. What if Paul, the detective, learned the source of drugs that were being sold to his dad? What if Paul, the detective, goes to that drug source? Says, cut it out. It's my dad. You're ruining my family. And if you don't, I'm going to tell on you. Turn you in. And what if source is a member of dangerous drug gang?
Oh, no, Jerry.
Well, the point is, there's no more evidence to support it, and there was no evidence. Those were just plausible scenarios that they were throwing out to you, and that you can think up many equally plausible scenarios. But you have to decide the evidence based on the facts that the state puts before you.
I know, he went off into Reddit with that one.
Theories, not inferences, not speculation.
But I mean,
Cold, hard facts. Mr. Waters also said that Alex, the master liar, accused Shelley, Smith, Blanca, and perhaps another witness of lying. He never did such a thing. He never accused anybody of lying from this witness stand. Now, I've been around long enough to know.
Yeah, I don't see that. Think so either.
Long enough to know that witnesses can misremember things and believe them to be true. And frankly, I'm the biggest defender of that trait in my household. I convinced myself that I remembered something accurately, and I will have an argument with my wife until she shows me photographic evidence that I'm just wrong, and that's what it takes. I mean, that happens. People misremember things. But because we point out that there was an inconsistent fact, that doesn't mean we're saying someone lied, and we never did that. We never did that. One example is Sister Marion. One example of misremembering. Sister Marion said that she spoke with Maggie about 7 p.m. while she was at Edistow, and that Alec wanted to come to Moselle to visit her father. Well, we know that her recollection is mistaken because we have cell phone records, we got FBI records.
I feel like I have nothing to say.
Phone bill, we got that shows she was in Mount Pleasant and that she was traveling to Moselle around the period of time where Sister Marion thought she was at Edistow. Did not happen.